There is a study that should unsettle you. Researchers found that the average person makes over 35,000 decisions every single day. But here is the part nobody talks about. The majority of those decisions were already shaped before you made them. Not by your values, not by your logic, by someone else's design. You walked into a store meaning to buy one thing. You left with 4. You checked your phone for a time. You were still scrolling 40 minutes later. You agreed to something you never intended to agree to. And in every single case, you felt like the choice was yours. So here is the question that should keep you up at night. How many of your decisions today were actually yours? Welcome to TheMindShadow. This channel exists for one reason: to pull back the curtain on how human behavior actually works. The parts that are uncomfortable, the parts that are useful, and the parts that most people are never taught. Today, we are going into the 7 dark psychology tricks being used against you every day. Not in rare situations. Every single day. By advertisers, by employers, by people you trust, and by systems built specifically to exploit your psychology. Understanding these is not paranoia, it is armor. Once you see them clearly, you cannot unsee them. And that changes everything about how you move through the world. The first trick is manufactured scarcity, and it is one of the oldest weapons in existence. The principle is simple. Scarcity triggers fear. Fear overrides rational thinking. And when rational thinking goes offline, you act fast and you act emotionally. Robert Cialdini documented this in his landmark work on influence. The moment something appears limited, its perceived value spikes, regardless of its actual worth. But here is where it gets darker. Most of the scarcity you encounter is completely fabricated. That countdown timer on the checkout page, it resets every time you reload. That hotel booking site telling you only 2 rooms left. It has been saying that for 3 days. Those limited edition releases that somehow always have a waitlist. These are not accidents. They are precision instruments. In 2011, ticketing companies were exposed for artificially holding back concert tickets, then releasing them at inflated prices. Creating demand through fake scarcity they themselves manufactured. The result? People paid 3 times the face value, not because the ticket was worth more, because their brain told them they were about to lose something. That feeling of potential loss is called loss aversion. And psychologically, losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. So when someone engineers a scenario where you feel on the edge of losing an opportunity, your brain does not think clearly. It panics quietly. And you buy, you commit, you agree. The defense is simple, but requires discipline. Pause before any decision framed around urgency. Ask yourself, who created this deadline? And why does it benefit them for you to decide right now? The second trick is social proof hijacking. And understanding this one will make you look at crowds very differently. Human beings are hardwired to scan their environment for behavioral cues. When you are uncertain, you look at what others are doing, and you treat that as evidence of the correct choice. This is not weakness. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism. For most of human history, following the group kept you alive. But today, that mechanism is being weaponized. The likes, the view counts, the 5-star reviews, these are not neutral data points. They are engineered signals designed to trigger your herd instinct. Research published in the journal Science found that when a piece of online content received even a small artificial boost in early engagement, it was significantly more likely to go viral. Not because it was better, but because perceived popularity created real popularity. Think about what that means. Your preferences are being reverse engineered. You think you are choosing what resonates with you, but you are often choosing what you have been shown that others already chose. It goes further. In sales environments, phrases like most popular choice or bestseller are not just labels. They are psychological shortcuts. They remove the burden of decision from your mind and replace it with borrowed certainty. Someone else already decided. It must be right. The third trick is related but more insidious. It is called anchoring. The first number you see in any negotiation or pricing scenario becomes the reference point your brain uses to judge everything else. A jacket marked down from $400 to $180 feels like a deal, even if it was never worth $400, even if $180 is still overpriced. The anchor number was placed there to manipulate your sense of value. Salary negotiations use this. Real estate uses this. Car dealerships have built entire sales systems around it. The person who sets the anchor controls the conversation. Always. Now we move into the territory that makes most people uncomfortable, because this is where dark psychology stops being something done by faceless corporations and starts being something done by people in your personal life. The fourth trick is the foot in the door technique. It works like this. You get someone to agree to something small, almost trivially small, and once that agreement is in place, a larger request follows, one they would have refused outright if asked first. Why does it work? Because humans have a deep psychological need for consistency. Once you have said yes once, your identity adjusts. You are now someone who agrees with this person, supports this cause, is part of this thing. Saying no to the next request creates internal conflict. And most people resolve that conflict by saying yes again. Jonathan Friedman and Scott Fraser proved this in a classic 1966 study. Homeowners who agreed to display a small sign in their window were dramatically more likely to later allow a large, ugly billboard to be placed on their lawn. The small yes had already reshaped their self-concept. The fifth trick is intermittent reinforcement, and this one is arguably the most powerful on this list. It is the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Not consistent rewards, unpredictable ones. When you cannot predict if or when a reward is coming, your brain floods with dopamine in anticipation. You stay locked in. Relationships can be designed, intentionally or not, around this principle. Someone who is sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes attentive, sometimes dismissive, creates a psychological trap. Your brain chases the unpredictable reward. The sixth trick is gaslighting through reframing. Someone does something harmful. Then they reframe it as your misinterpretation, your sensitivity, your problem. Done subtly and consistently, this dismantles your trust in your own perception. It is used in toxic relationships, in workplace dynamics, in politics. The goal is always the same: detach you from your own reality so that someone else's version replaces it. The seventh trick is identity-based persuasion. Instead of targeting what you want, this targets who you believe you are. Smart people choose this. Real men do that. People like you understand this. When an appeal is framed around your identity, your defenses drop, because now disagreeing with the message feels like disagreeing with yourself. Now here is the revelation, the one that reframes everything you just heard. At the beginning of this, I asked you how many of your decisions today were actually yours, and you probably framed the answer as a threat Someone out there manipulating you. Systems designed against you. And yes, that is real. But here is what changes everything. Every single one of these techniques works because of how human psychology is built. Scarcity works because survival required urgency. Social proof works because the collective was often right. Consistency works because integrity matters. Intermittent reinforcement works because anticipation is the engine of motivation. None of these mechanisms are flaws. They are features. The people who understand this do not just defend against manipulation. They use these same principles ethically to lead better, communicate more powerfully, build stronger relationships, and create work that actually moves people. The difference between manipulation and influence is not the tool. It is the intent and the outcome. Manipulation serves the manipulator at your expense. Influence serves both. Now that you can see the architecture of these techniques, you have a choice. You can stay blind to them, or you can learn the territory so well that no one can use it against you, and you can begin using it for something that matters. If this video shifted something in how you see the world, that is the point. This channel is built for people who want to understand the game at a deeper level, not to become cynical, to become clear. If you are new here, subscribe. A new video drops every week. Each one goes somewhere most channels are afraid to go. If this resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not because an algorithm told you to, because you think it matters. The comment I want from you today is this: which of these 7 tricks have you caught being used on you? Drop it below. I read them. Now go move through the world with your eyes open. I'll see you in the shadows.